Game three had me play a friend of mine named Omer, O-M-E-R. It's not Omar, it's Omer. And this game took place in 1992 at the Kings Park Chess Club. We had a club there for a period of time that I actually started. So let's go through it. I'm white, E4, E5. Now this is a time where I was really just experimenting with the chess openings. I'm unrated, maybe 14, 1500, if that, and I play F4, which is the King's Gambit. A very aggressive, classical opening. I didn't have a lot of experience with, but I said, you know what, this sounds like something I can play. It has a lot of open lines and tactics, and I enjoy that. So let's see what happens. All right, well, he plays very traditionally. He takes, I play knight f3, and the purpose of that is if I don't play knight f3, he gets this queen check in here, and that's annoying. So then he plays again, classical style. He plays g5. Quick development is the key in the King's Gambit. So bishop c4, already eyeing this square, but operations to continue. There's nothing serious yet. So right away he plays a less than stellar move. It's not necessarily a bad move. Um, he plays h6. It's probably second best. It's not bad, but multiple pawn moves in the opening is usually not a good thing. And in this particular case, you already see the weakening of these squares. It's still early. It's not serious enough yet, but it's already becoming apparent that this could be a problem depending on what happens. Okay, so I could probably just castle here, but I play I think a good move. I play d4, grabbing the center. Good. Having a control of these key squares is always good, and I have it also with from my other pawn. So I like this, and I'm going to play probably knight c3 next, and castles, and there's all kinds of good moves I can play after that. Now he plays a really bad move here. Normal is just bishop g7 probably. That's fine. He could play even d6, opening the diagonal for his bishop. That's reasonable. Lots of moves that are okay. But he plays a real bad one. He plays f6, double question mark. And like that, I mean, look at this. This diagonal, these squares are so weak that it almost, in fact, I think if you put this on the computer, it would say that I'm already winning this. And I have a tactic, again, hard to find this tactic, but it's 95, which is winning. But at the 1400 level, I'm not going to go into deep analysis here, but just look at the weakness of these squares, and it tells you that the position is screaming to be played on the light squares if we can do that. So let's see what happens. I don't find 95, so I just castle, which is, hey, it's something. I'm still have an advantage, but a move like 95 would be huge. Even bishop takes f4 is amazing. I mean, there's all kinds of different tactics in this position, but I just castle because I just want to be safe, make sure I get my piece development going. I recognize even at this point that a lot of players lose in the opening because they're not developed. So I wanted to make sure I at least develop. Okay, now for him, a good move here. It's hard. He's really cramped, but probably like Queen E7, hitting that weak pawn is fair. A move like D5, it sacrifices a pawn, but it does get some development. So I play D5. The idea is to play something like this, perhaps, and get on the on the diagonal and create some kind of havoc. Or if he takes, for example, I can go 97. Again, just trying to get pieces out as much as possible. He's worse, maybe even losing, but it's better than nothing. All right, so he plays d6. That's reasonable. And then I play a really bad move here. I play g3. And the idea, I think at the time, is I wanted to get this F file open. But the point here is, why do I want to even help him do that? I should just play normal moves. Uh, Knight c3 is perfectly fine. Knight h4 is another tactic, which I'm not going to get into. That's also a move if I did that. But I'm not going to play that for the purposes of this example. But G3, just a bad idea. Hoping he'll take, and frankly, if he does take, he's just equal. Here, if I take back, I'm just in trouble here. I have bishop G4, and there's this terrible pin now, and I have no way to kick the bishop, and I have to go like Queen D3. It's just annoying. So G3 is not necessary. He plays a less than stellar move himself, and he plays bishop H3. And the idea is to hit the rook, but he's missing uh, a tactic here. Now, I could play rook f2. That is not the strongest move. I actually find the best move in the position here, which is rare, but it does happen at the amateur level, and that is 95 exclam. Again, why is this a good move? Well, look at what I'm opening up here. So he's got a lot of problems to solve in a hurry, and he's got to do it fast. Okay, so Omer doesn't really spend a lot of time on this. I mean, I think he just takes the knight right away, figuring, oh, queen h5, which I play, he just wins the piece. It's not that big a deal. Well, yes, but it's worse. So he plays king e7. I go queen f7, check. Very strong move. King d6. Look at his king. It's just a mess here. It really is a mess. Now, I know a lot of people look at this and they say, well, I mean, white is so winning this game. How can you lose? You just play a move like d takes e5, followed by, rook over check, and the game is over. No, that's not right. Even though this is a crushing advantage, it's very important to make sure you focus, analyze the position, do all your analysis. What is he threatening? Can he escape is the question you should be asking here, because he has nothing to win for at this point. He's just looking to escape. So I do play d takes e5. And he plays a really bad one. He plays king takes e5, which does lose. But before we get into that, d takes e5 is actually better for black. The evaluation swings the other direction, and I'll show you why. Because he plays I don't think that hard to find a move. King c6. And now, look what's happening. He's now threatening queen check. Got to be careful where I move because this piece is in jeopardy and so on. I have queen takes e4 as a major threat, which is almost mating, if not mating. So this is scary. So I have to play like a knight c3 move. He still has queen d4. Check. King h1 or bishop e3. I mean, these are scary, scary moves. King h1. And there goes the rook. And yeah, I can play like, queen e6, and I'm probably getting a little bit of bishop d6, but uh, this is very scary. Bishop takes f1. I mean, there's a lot of tactics here I'm not going to get into, but the game is now basically equal. It's just a slight advantage for white versus a crushing advantage. So yeah, DE5, but we have to look at the continuation. Don't assume he's always going to recapture the way you think. King c6 is a great move, and it would have swung the tables in the opposite direction. Anyway, he plays king takes e5. That's a bad move for a lot of reasons. And I find the continuation, g takes f4 is very strong. Takes. I don't really end this as smoothly as I should, but frankly, it's okay. I play queen h5 check. That's a winning move. He plays f5. Bishop takes f4. Takes the pawn. I mean, he's just getting slammed here. And for some reason, yeah, I play queen e2, which is also a good move. King d4. Now here's where I kind of, I'm not being very precise here, and clearly, if you're anyway, anything really wins here. So I play rook d1 and win the queen, even though there's probably better moves. And out of the way, I take it. This is kind of watching me pick the wings off a fly here, so I won't go into too much detail. But I go rook d5, king c6, and again, I can tell by my play now, looking at this years later, I'm not really calculating. I'm just throwing moves at him that I think are good without really understanding if they're really forced or not. And that's a bad habit. So I play queen e6. Again, this is obvious. He can just block it. Check. Bishop e3 check. King a5. Bishop d. I mean, it's just I'm finally struggling to get this guy mated. Bishop d2. Queen takes d6 was good too, but bishop d2. King a4, and finally I find the mate b3. So this is a bit of a crushing because he just didn't really understand where to put his pieces in the opening. He weakened the light squares dramatically, and Homer, paid the price. But from the winning side of this, it's always important to two takeaways I would give here. One, work on your technique. Just because you have a winning advantage, like I told you before, doesn't mean you're going to automatically win the game. Look to see how is he going to survive this. Is there a way I can have an overwhelming initiative? Greed is good here. Even if you see a really nice line where you're mating him or you're winning the queen, always ask yourself, is there something better? And I am winning, yes, but is there a way to do it even more elegantly than what I'm seeing? Very important. And the second thing I would say is never assume your opponent will fall into your traps. I thought that after D takes E5, is this going to be, king takes E5? But no, King C6 is a move, and it's a very difficult move to me. And look at this. All my pieces are still idle here. This is, he's a mess too, don't get me wrong. But because of the fact that I don't have my pieces active, is how he gets play. He has that check, and, it can be very dangerous if I'm not careful. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.